McCants, appreciate you being here with you guys. I want to introduce each one of them and talk about how the summer's been, kind of getting there, your first season, and then instilling some values, some goals, and getting ready for fall practice.
I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves, so that way y'all get the fear of being in front of people out of the way. So we'll start with you, Marquise.
My name is Barbour, class of 2027, running back and D-line.
My name's Hagen. I'm class of 2027. I play O-line and D-line.
Trooper Wright, class of 2026, running back and safety.
Brock Blizzard, class of 26, linebacker, running back.
Now we have one more that we brought late. It's Judson Freeze. He's an athlete, so receiver, DB, do-it-all type guy.
Talk about a little bit about the summer.
Summer.
Fall.
So fortunately, I got hired early enough to where we were able to get in during spring ball and really start introducing the new concepts and the new things that we wanted to accomplish this year. And we attacked that very hard and heavy in May, and then had to take that little bit of time off for graduation and into school, and then we rolled it into summer, and it's been wrapping up pretty nicely. We probably did more 7-on-7s than what we're used to, just simply because we needed the competition. We needed the extra reps versus people to really start learning our offensive and defensive schemes. I thought, everybody competed very well this summer. We're really starting to see the foundation of what Morehead football really can be moving forward.
Coach, let's start with your quarterback competition. Have you figured that out, or are you still working through?
We're still working through. Over the summer, we have a freshman that has gotten the majority of the reps. His name is Will Gord. He doesn't look like your prototypical freshman. He's already 6 foot, 160, 170 in that range. Throws a pretty good ball. Everybody seems to gravitate to him. They like him. Normally when you have a freshman come in, there's a lot of razzing him and stuff like that, but it hasn't really been that way with him. He's kind of just naturally stepped into that role. We have some other guys that could potentially push for that spot. Elijah Townsend, somebody that has played quarterback for Morehead in the past. Jose Milner has played quarterback in the past. Those are guys that we, will rep throughout the year to kind of create competition and make sure that we're putting the best 11 out there. Brock Blizzard can hand a mean handoff. So he's our inside run quarterback. So, if we get in a pinch, you might see Brock Blizzard back there handing the ball off and maybe putting him on a bootleg or something and let him run with it. Because we know he is not going to shy away from contact. So that would be good, in that potential for us. But quarterback competition is still kind of up in the air, but we are leaning more towards playing a freshman this year.
Defensively, you guys have some really good pieces, and the team played really well last year. How much has your focus this spring been on offense and just figuring out pieces as the new head coach?
We've been trying to figure out pieces on both sides because we are changing the scheme a little bit, going from a 4-man front to a odd front, seeing what best fits us and best fits our personnel. We have focused a little bit more offensively, just simply because what we're doing is newer to them. I know when they were freshmen, most of our seniors, when they were freshmen, they did play in kind of a spread zone type system, even though we're more of a gap scheme. A run game wise, we've spent probably more practice time on offense, but that will change come Wednesday because that's when the rubber meets the road, and we got to make sure that we're preparing for the scrimmages and for our first game.
As a coach of an offensive mind, you start getting to work with these guys. You like having two backs. You like having heavy tight end looks sometimes. How's it feel having 9, 4, and Brock up to be able to carry?
We have a big backfield. We have another kid who's not here, Jalen Lowright, who's going to be in the backfield also. He's a D lineman. So the majority of our running backs are either a linebacker or a defensive lineman for us as well, which, as you know, if you covered my games in the past, those are things that we like to do. And that's going to be if we are playing the freshman at quarterback, that's going to be his best friend, so to speak, is those big power backs where we can really control the tempo of the game.
Coach, on a personal note, the game last year in Morehead and in Walkertown, going into that game, it was a tough game. Like, tough players on the Morehead side, we all said it. Knowing you, your background, your teams in the past, and toughness, like, how much more is that going to be for a team going into this fall?
That's been always my kind of calling card or my identity is I want teams when they either leaving, wherever I'm coaching now is Eden, or they see our bus leave, they're like, dang, that was a football game. And we don't want to see those guys again on the schedule. We worked very hard at every place that I've been to kind of switch that dynamic. Fortunately here, that dynamic is there. We're just trying to pull it out a little bit more and make sure that it permeates between everybody. And that it's not just one or two that want to play hard, it's the whole team. And that's kind of where we get that whole idea of SEO serve each other. That we're one, that we're all going to leave it on the field together, that we're going to practice hard, and that way it's going to translate to Friday nights and Thursday nights for our JVs.
I got a question for Brock and Hagen. How is wrestling? We'll start with Hagen. First of all, wrestling, how has that helped your position and your success in wrestling? And secondly, your guys' team success, how are you bleeding that into this spring and heading into the football season?
Wrestling's helped me big time, being a bigger guy with my hips definitely, but it also translates into my personality because wrestling is a very competitive sport, and if you're on my team, you're going to be my friend, but if you're going against me, you're my enemy. So of course I'm very competitive. It helps. It's very hand in hand with everything. It's good for both sports.
And Brock, wrestling, how do you take that to the linebacker position?
So wrestling's always helped me just understand how low I need to be. It helped control my pad level a little bit better because I'm a little bit shorter already than most guys that play my position, but just that little half an inch helps me get under everything I need to get under and just explode through people. And that's what I like to do. So.
Coach, I was wondering, just speaking to a lot of people in the Eden community, I know they are hungry for wins in football, and I know that you guys up there, pads and helmet, have heard the same thing. But in terms of the coaching change, there's been a coaching carousel over there in Morehead for a while, which I know has been tough on these seniors in particular. But to the fans of Morehead football, what can you say to them in terms of hopefully installing a winning culture?
I think that starts with consistency, and that speaks to what you're saying with that carousel. I'm looking forward to stopping that carousel. I'm looking forward to being in Eden at Morehead for a long time. It fits with, where I live, where my parents live, where my wife works, where my kids go to schools. There's a lot of things that aligned, kind of perfectly right there in a row when this job opened up. I know most people will look at as coach speech. Every year somebody's, oh, this is my job, my dream job, or whatever. But I don't see a better job in the state for me in my situation. I don't see a better job in any other state for me in my situation, especially with 3 small kids. I got a 10, an 8, and a 6-year-old. They love it. They're at practice almost every day now. My wife teaches right across the road. My parents live a mile away from the school. I go to church right across the street. So that's going to make Sunday meetings a lot easier and a lot less stressful on me. Which that's what you look for in coaching jobs too, is kind of that work-life balance. And that was part of the reason why, when this job opened, I jumped over it because my work-life balance was out of skew. And I realized that when having small kids, and I needed to get back closer to home.
I know you mentioned returning home. Obviously, left the county, came back. How does it feel for you to get back kind of in your home territory and kind of the pride that comes with this job that you talked about a little bit?
It's great. It was kind of bittersweet, kind of weird. Anytime you leave a job, it's bittersweet because you start to build relationships, and that those relationships will probably never be the same moving forward. It was kind of surreal at the same time because I had some kids from McMichael text me like, really, coach, because that rivalry cuts deep on both sides. And I was there for 4 years across the county, and that's the only time you're going to hear me say that name, but that was the only time, if I was there for 4 years across the county line or across the county, and, had some good times there, but it was time for me to move in terms of my professional career, and now it was time for me to move again back closer to home and to take on another challenge and to restore, kind of the pride of Eden, so to speak.
I know you've got those 4 players with you, obviously, by choice. I mean, in terms of what those 4 guys bring to the table, I mean, could you just kind of go through the different players and what they mean to your program and how they look to impact this team this season?
Yeah, well, we have 2 seniors and 2 underclassmen. We have a selection of position groups. But the one thing that they all have in common is grit and determination. And they all have the team's interest at heart. They all want to make the team better. Of course, they want to be the best team player they can be, but they also want to see Morehead be the best that it can be as well. And it's evident by how they practice, and it's evident by how they carry themselves, not only in the practice field, but in the classrooms and in the community as well.
This is for your players. Guys, how does it feel now that every one of these county games are also a conference game? This rivalry means a lot more now.
Yeah, I think it just makes it even more personal. Obviously, you want to go out there and do your best and beat the guys across the street. So I think adding them to the conference just makes it even more personal.
Definitely adds to it a little bit more because it means you just want to get over the hump with them a little bit more. You got to beat them to go to the playoffs is what it feels like still. So you just want to have close games with them, win, go home, get ready for next week.
Man, I think it's great because for the longest time, Rockinham's never really been in our conference. Not throwing anything at Rockingham, but it's great that we have Rockingham on our conference, and all of our county games are now conference. And I think it makes it a lot easier, but also competitive because you're not just competing for all county now, you're also competing for all conference, which really adds on to it.
It's good. I really don't know what to say about it, but I'm just ready to do something this year and prove myself.
Speaking of which, what's it like been playing running back through the spring? And I don't know if you played it before the position, but I don't think you did last year, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's that experience been like for you?
Amazing. I liked it. I've been wanting to play since I was a little kid.
And Coach, how did you identify Marquez as somebody that you wanted in the backfield?
Well, when we first started spring ball, we do the traditional agility drills and run, L drills, box drills. And he was, really light on his feet, pretty nimble. I knew he had a wrestling background, so I knew he, used to be a bigger guy, and he cut a little bit of weight. And he's, you can see he's got a good frame on him. And, he played D-line, so I knew he had a motor. And, I saw how athletic he looked going through those drills. And, one of the things that I do during spring ball is I let guys go to whatever position that they feel like they want to play. He went to running back, and I thought that was a natural fit for him. Now obviously we do have some kids that go to some positions, and then we help them find their position. But he was one. We said, hey, go to what position you want to go to. He went to running back, and running backs coach and myself, we agreed that he's somebody that could really help us in terms of our scheme.
This is for Hagen. How hard was it having to sit out last year with the injury?
It was pretty hard because it's getting to watch your friends out there play and knowing that those are your brothers out there you want to be with and playing football with, and not being injured my freshman year and then going into my sophomore year in an injury, it was awful and probably I think the worst thing they've done, what I had to go through. But I'm glad to be back on the field and playing with my brothers again.
As far as the first year, I can't imagine you could ask for a better senior class to build the foundation block by block. What is the senior class, these 2 guys in the senior class, meant so far?
I think they're the heartbeat of our team right now, because they've been through the bad times, so to speak. They've seen it at the lowest that it could be, and they are working their hardest to make sure that we're clawing our way out of that and that we're setting a foundation for future Panthers to come. And if you look at that senior class that we got, we have, not only great senior leadership, but it's great leadership through all classes. But the seniors, I mean, I can't speak highly enough for them for leading by example and that great leadership from all classes. It starts with them and it trickles down.
Trooper, what are some of your goals as a senior as far as building the program and this year for your team?
Yes, sir. I mean, just have a winning season, something that hasn't been done at Morehead in a while. So, as a team, have a winning season and make a deep run in the playoffs. And personally, I mean, I just hope I show resiliency, that the only limitations that you have are the ones that you place on yourself.
And this is for anybody. What has it been like for you guys offensively and defensively with the different coaching staff? How has it felt working with Coach McCants and Coach Greer?
Yes, sir. I mean, it really hasn't been too hard. They're very open and they're patient teachers. So they understand that we're not going to get it right off the bat, but they've been poised and have helped us stay poised and just learn a lot. So the adjustment hasn't been really too rough. I mean, we've been through it for 3 years, so it's nothing new to us.
In terms of this new coaching staff, I mean, what would you say are the biggest differences you notice from the previous coaching staff to this new one that's come in?
Yes, sir. I mean, I wouldn't say there's too many differences. We're still working towards one common goal. But obviously just a mix of personalities. I mean, our whole coaching staff are different personalities, so that's been cool to see. Just seeing different personalities come together for one common goal.
How important is versatility to you, Coach? I mean, you mentioned Jose, you've got Elijah. These guys can play all kinds of different positions. Versatility, what's that mean to the program to have that right away?
It's a good thing, because then we can breed competition. We can move somebody here, move somebody there. If somebody gets tired, then we can slide somebody into another spot. It's the old interchangeable parts idea. We have a lot of guys that can play a lot of positions. It gets tough as a coach to try to hone all that down and make sure that we're getting everybody the appropriate reps. But right now, through the summer and the spring, that was the time to experiment with certain things. And now that we're getting closer to the season, we're going to start honing in on what they really can do. Because I think that is our job as coaches. That's our sole job as coaches, make sure that we put these guys in the best position to showcase their skills. We can draw up all the fanciest plays and all the nomenclature, but they have to execute. And so making sure that we give them the tools, making sure that we teach them how to execute when the lights are on, I think is a big deal.
Coach, last thing. Not record-wise, but what is a successful first year at Morehead for you, seeing from these guys from the fall?
I think it's progress. Taking those steps to making this program what it needs to be and what it should be. Every coach will tell you the same things, and it's true. What type of people are we creating? Job, military, career ready. What type of person are they going to be in 5 years? What type of person are they going to be in 10 years? That stuff matters, because I remember playing high school football way long ago. It's getting further and further away, but, still some of the lessons that my offensive line coach, Reggie Shaw, taught me, and my head coach, Charlie Macaluso, and Coach Kennedy, what they taught me whenever I was at Fairfield Central High School, it still sticks with me now as a 40-year-old man. I remember when I was in college, I worked a summer job, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was miserable. But I was like, this wasn't as hard as camp. And I'm getting paid to be here. I wouldn't get paid to be at camp. So, I can suck it up. I'll be all right. And that was just kind of, the mantra that just was instilled with me and things that have stuck with me for my life. And so that's, and that's why I want to pay it forward and make sure that we're doing the same thing.
And for players, what is a successful season for you guys? What does it look like? Maybe not actually know, but like as a group, do something together. What does it look like?
Successful season, to me, it'd be like we just come together, be a good team, play as one, serve each other, and then when me and him are gone, hopefully establish that winning mentality in everybody. So that's what I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, really what he said. I mean, personally, I just want to have a winning season. That hasn't happened at Morehead in a while, and I want my senior year to go out the bang, be the class to be remembered as, okay, they had a winning season, something that hadn't been done in a while. So have a winning season and then go to the playoffs.
I think something that I'd like to see is everybody on board and putting confidence into our program. And you can't win with just one person. You have to have several people, and everyone has to be a part of the boat rowing.
About the same thing everybody else said. Just here to play as one, and just play as a team. Never give up on no matter how much you're losing by. They always stay as a team. and be one.
Kansas, Morehead, appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.